Superhero Talk Show. I am your host, Brad West. This week, joining me is Mr. Greg Burrow from Dragons Are Comic and Fantasy, and Anastasia Anderson, my co-host. We're going to be talking about dragons. If you saw our episodes a couple weeks ago, we saw the Shang-Chi movie, Marvel Cinematic Universe, out in theaters now still, I believe, so go check it out. Very good. Highly recommend it.
And we're trying to stick with just dragons. A lot of people might say that Godzilla's a dragon, and Godzilla was in the Marvel Universe.
Hairs split.
Yes. Yeah, more of a dinosaur, I think.
We are straight up doing dragons.
We're doing dragons, yes.
Or kaiju.
In fact, Double Dinosaur came along, and there were some debates whether or not he was a dragon, because he does, in fact, breathe fire.
Yeah.
But, no.
It's fine. Dinosaur. It counts. It doesn't count.
Now, dragons, there are Western dragons and there are Eastern dragons, and the majority of the dragons in the Marvel Universe seem to favor the Eastern dragons.
Eastern, exactly.
Yeah, they're cool looking.
Which is kind of interesting like that. And they're more spirits. Like, at most, I think the only Western dragons I can even think of are encountered with, like, Black Knight or something.
Probably.
And even then, they were not named. They were just random dragon things. So.
Yeah.
We're going to just go right off the bat with the biggest, most prominent dragon in Marvel Comics, Fin Fang Foom.
Hey!
If you saw when we were talking about Shang-Chi, we were talking about the source of the Mandarin's powers, the original 10 rings. Fin Fang Foom was the dragon
and there's even some debate whether he's a real dragon.
Correct.
Because he's an alien.
But we had to do 5, so you're going to have to suck it up.
He is a dragon-like alien. Now, the reason that there is some debate as to whether or not he counts is because there are stories within the Marvel Universe that imply that the source of dragon mythology in the world are sightings of these aliens throughout time. So, even though there are aliens that look like dragons, it can be said that the dragons look like the aliens.
Yeah, I was about to say, that settles the debate then, because if they're saying, it looks like, it's like the dragons that exist are because we saw aliens and we were like, we'll just call them dragons, I guess. I'm like, it's fine.
It's fine.
So,
fine.
Strange Tales number 89 in October 1961, Fin Fang Foom first shows up, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
Yes.
So, this is a classic. And he has such a weird but unique look for a dragon, because it was actually, to my mind, Fin Fang Foom is a combination of a Western and an Eastern dragon.
I would see that.
Definitely got aspects of both.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the elongated body quite so much, but it does have an elongated neck and tail that pick it up, and then it's bipedal as well as winged.
Yeah.
But then the face is... I've never seen anything that looks... The closest thing that I've ever seen in any other literature, it's reminiscent of Malbosia in the Spawn comics.
Okay.
Oh.
And it's got that uncanny body. The body
is
type
odd
that's
looking.
so odd.
So, big question for you. What was the planet of origin for Fin Fang Foom?
I did not know. I've never had that committed to memory, but I know that you have it written down.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to make
Trying to pass it to you, but it's Kakara...
Kakaranthera.
Yeah, something like that.
Kakaranthera. Haha, we got it. We're
Planet
agreed.
of origin.
Kakaranthera.
Yeah.
It actually had a different name, too. He had,
hopefully an
Well, it was the galaxy.
The
There was
galaxy.
We had to write it
Carthera.
down.
I think it was like the Carthera galaxy or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Kakaranthera. So, initially, the Mandarin, who has the 10 rings, and in the comic books, there are 10 rings on his fingers.
Yep, and they allude to this in the movie.
They do.
It's like half a line.
It's half a line. She's like, a throwaway line. She's like when she's telling Shang-Chi about his father and the backstory, she's like, some say that he found them in a cavern in the forest. Well, in the comic book, he actually did find them in a...
he did.
in the forest in the cavern where the spaceship had crashed.
Yeah. And they were actually the control aspects for the vehicle.
For the spaceship.
So there was 10 different dragons, and each had like a ring that they would use to control that aspect of the spaceship. Now, that being said, the rings resize to fit whoever puts it on their finger.
Yeah.
So that's why they fit the Mandarin.
Instead of, big, giant ones. Now, Greg has a great theory. In the translation to the movie, obviously in the movie, they did not want them to just look like more of the Infinity Gauntlet, which is what their thought was. It's like, oh, you got the Infinity Gauntlet, it's got the, things on it, So let's shake it up and visually, and we put them on the arm like the bangles. And I think they said that the inspiration, they even have like a little Easter egg to it. The inspiration was the fighting bangles, like from Kung Fu Hustle, that the guy has.
Yeah, I was about to say, they do it because they want the extra Asian influence, but also, you know what? It did look cool.
It looks cool and looks different from the Infinity
And that was
Gauntlet.
kind of weird because that was one of the things that was kind of turning me off. Shang-Chi was the big arm bangles because I was like, well,
but they're not reason.
Yeah.
However, you had a good theory about them. Is like maybe that's because that's the size they were on the dragons.
Yeah.
And so the dragon's arms or the dragon's fingers are the size of human arms. And
Right.
So there you go.
It's like we gave you a free excuse, Marvel. We'll take our payment from PayPal.
Yeah.
Right. So I find that interesting. Now, the Fin Fang Foom character has been an antagonist, but never evil. It's one of the interesting things. Like, initially I was exposed to the character as an Iron Man villain, but eventually you come to find out he was being controlled at different points by different people, Mandarin and somebody else at another point. Even at one point they had alluded to the fact that it was Earth's environment that had poisoned him. So between Iron Man and the Fantastic Four, they've done various things to try and help Fin Fang Foom as the dragon. Even at one point shrinking him down to a human size and giving him a job as, I'm not even making this up, guys, as the chef in the lobby of the Fantastic Four Freedom Plaza.
I saw that picture. And I was like, I'm sorry, what is this?
Yeah.
So, yes.
It is amazing what you will dig up in comics. Just,
Yeah.
I love the funny stuff. I don't know why. I mean, I think that's part of the charm. I'm getting kind of tired of everybody dogging the silliness of comics. That's part of the fun.
Some of it's the joy, yeah.
They go
but some
out
it
of
goes
their
too far.
way. They go out of their way to just like, oh, it's not mature. It's not grown up. It's not real world. Oh, I'm such a snob. You know what? I love the first two Fantastic Four movies. I really like the Fantastic Four
I like the
movies.
first one way better than the second.
I did like the first one better than the second one. There are aspects of the second one I could have done without. But you know what? Doug Jones as Silver Surfer,
Doug
that's
Jones
a
was
win.
amazing.
That's
Yeah,
just a win,
that's a win.
okay? That's a good movie.
The
You guys
problem
like
with
this-
Fantastic Four is they didn't go far enough.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're going to tease Galactus, you need to show
I'm
Galactus,
like, right
not
on.
just another
We're already
beater clown.
there.
And then and somehow DC was surprised years later when they did the same thing to Parallax. We're like, really? What the hell? So,
yeah, and it's
Galactus.
like,
I was
If
like,
you're going to pull out Galactus, you got to
Who's
give us
Galactus?
Galactus.
and one of the things I thought that was really interesting about, and we're going to go off the subject, but when they were talking, they've had it appear multiple times in the comic book where it's explained that Galactus isn't really a giant person. And it's just how humans or sentient beings in this universe are able to perceive him. Like, Reed Richards, even so much as this tells him, it's like, do you really think he's a giant man with a purple helmet? No. But that's how the cosmos and this iteration of the universe, that's how he appears to us, because otherwise we couldn't even comprehend what it is we're looking at.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. So, in that note, a giant person flying through the cosmos and coming across a tiny planet, I don't think it would look that silly in a movie. But
No.
obviously, producers, whatever, they decided that would look silly.
I don't know. We'll see how we do with the Turtles. Because now that they know that they can do bigger scale, I'm like, assuming.
Well, the one
it's
thing
so
I saw
fine.
from the Eternals that was really making me interesting was the big guy with the three glowing orbs on the face. and coming up, and I was like, "Oh, that looks amazing."
Yeah,
one of
we
the
saw
Eternals,
that.
Yeah.
We saw that in IMAX, and it's like, this is a movie I felt indifferently about. And then they were like, we're going to put this on an extra long screen. And I was like,
Oh, there
that
you
was
go,
cool.
Fox. You done screwed up. Because Galactus would have been cool as a big giant head with a purple helmet.
Yeah, we would have loved it.
I would have been eaten up. It would
Well, I
have been
mean,
so much cooler.
if there's ways to do Galactus like in the Secret Wars
Right. Well, I think...
and in the other iterations of
Secret Wars,
Galactus,
they
he's
shrunk him
not.
down.
Well, it's not even that. It's in a lot of those comics, they don't have him floating out there by himself. He's actually in a giant spaceship
Yeah.
that he comes in,
Right.
and so there's like actually, and then like he actually has to create this device to help him absorb the energy.
from
And
it.
there's like aspects like that they could have done. Like, I mean, that was what Silver Surfer was preparing for him by creating those vortexes
Right.
into the ground, those, so that the tubes from his machine could actually lock in
Right.
and absorb the planet. So they should have gone all in,
They should have
and
gone all
instead they chickened out and they did a big cloud at the
Yeah.
end.
Well, I mean,
Right.
and this is again the blessing and the curse of, and we blame the Ultimate Universe, the Ultimate Comics Universe, because the Ultimate Comics Universe was, of course, tasked with modernizing all of the Marvel concepts and making them more contemporary, and that's where they first introduced Galactus, which was a sentient swarm.
Okay.
So that's what they were trying to do, is they were using the Ultimate Universe version of it.
Yeah.
And it did, because again, people are like, because giant people in space are silly.
And honestly,
And we know they're not.
I'm sorry I'm
Comics are
going back to
silly, bro.
Fantastic Four again, but I want to say that I think that all the actors in that movie did an amazing job as the different characters. The one exception is the writing for Sue
Yeah, it
was
was
horrible.
awful.
And they really abused her, and
They
that's why
made
Jessica
her-
Alba, we don't get Jessica Alba in a lot of movies
They
anymore.
made her a bimbo
because
when her character's not a
she's an
bimbo.
amazing actress. If you ever saw the Dark Angel TV series,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's
that was mind-blowingly amazing. And so she has the chops to do a lot better, and they just really,
Yep.
Right.
and
But-
it's just really frustrating.
But with the Fin Fang Foom,
Yeah, Fin Fang Foom.
Thank
it's
you.
like, sorry
Now,
for people who thought this was a Fin Fang
and if you
Foom episode.
right. Thank you. This is what she's here for. She gives us the test. So, if you hadn't seen our Shang-Chi episode where we talked briefly about Fin Fang Foom, a cool, interesting little Easter egg is in the first Iron Man movie. In the first Iron Man movie, there is actually a billboard advertising a Fin Fang Foom movie. It was just meant to be tongue-in-cheek, but it can be seen when Tony is fighting Obadiah in his own version of the armor, and they're flying through, and then he knocks him to the ground, and in the background you can see it. Google it, it's easy to find. So I always find that particularly amusing. But Fin Fang Foom was an interesting character. He's gone through various versions. I think the last time he actually showed up anything of consequence was the Monsters Unleashed.
Yeah.
Where Kid Kaiju was creating random monsters, and the Legion of Monsters appeared. And of course, you had the original giant monsters, the original giant Groot creature, because Groot started off as a giant monster, and I forget Grotto.
You have to
Grotto, that
realize,
giant ant.
you have to realize, I mean, in the 50s and 60s, I mean, look at all of the giant monster films that were out there, like Them, and
Well, yeah, Grotto was one of them. The
Yeah.
giant ant. That
So,
was
I mean,
like
it
that.
permeated all media. It wasn't just in comics, but it was in movies. It was everywhere. They had these giant, like
Yeah.
the, even like the
Monsters.
what was it, 50-foot tall woman, and
Attack of the 50-foot woman.
We
No,
were
60 foot.
incredibly traumatized
Yeah.
back then, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really afraid of the radiation.
yeah.
Now it's just like vaccines.
Yeah. Woo!
So,
Oh,
Woo!
sorry.
I want to say it's nanites.
People be
now.
stupid.
I want to say it's nanites now.
Nanites.
Nanites is the new
Nanites
radiation.
is the new, nanites, well, hold
No,
on.
that's the new film thing. That's not the new. We're not at nanites yet.
Yeah, nanites here. We're not generally really afraid of nanites. I mean, remember.
Well, I'm saying that the superheroes
Plot
are different
device,
be-
yes.
being
Yeah,
created.
I was like,
yes,
superheroes.
nanites
Because
are
you
the
even got
new-
Iron Man now. That's nanites. that create
Nanites
his
are the
armor.
new easy plot device, but Marvel and DC media, extended media, are working really, really hard to make it multiverse. Like, I'm
Right.
serious. In 10 years, nobody's going to go, oh, it's a multiverse.
Yeah.
Because of the multiverse.
Right?
And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I love all things superheroes and comic books, and I'm just really, really already burnt out on multiverse.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, and for
Well, okay, I'm going to say it right out loud. the big reason I'm tired of Multiverse is because it isn't a creative plus, it is a crutch.
It is a crutch.
Because it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this, so it's a multiverse.
That's why I said
I don't want to
think of a legitimate scientific or reasonable explanation for why this power works. We're going to call it nanites.
So I can do whatever I want to do without having to pay attention to what happened in the past. Multiverse.
It's like the 50s. It's like, or 60s. What can their powers be? You know what? Nobody knows anything about radiation. We'll just say they're radiation. It's like gamma radiation, guys. We are constantly bombarded with gamma radiation. We have been for like since the dawn of humanity. It comes from the sun. It's everywhere in the atmosphere. Okay,
right.
It's there. Gamma radiation. It might make you sick, but it's not going to do that. You get bitten by a radioactive spider. God knows I wish it were otherwise. But you get bitten by a radioactive spider, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
that's just all there is to it. You're gonna die.
It's like, and just to diffuse some rumors with Fin Fang Foom, it's like, because there was a lot of stuff that happened with Shang-Chi, where we saw a dragon, we were like, there's literally only one dragon this could be. It wasn't that.
It wasn't that. However,
without giving away spoilers, it wasn't that, but who it was cooler.
Well, I'm going to spoil.
Fine.
I'm going to spoil.
If there's spoilers, I'm
sorry.
That's coming up. That's not this episode, guys.
No. But there is a small spoiler about Fin Fang Foom, because even though the dragon that's in the movie is not Fin Fang Foom, at the end, what did the rings do?
They sent a beacon.
They sent a beacon out into space.
Yep, and they were sitting there like, gee, what could this be sending out a signal?
Who's receiving a signal in space?
Maybe a bunch of space dragons.
Maybe space dragons. I'm just saying.
So for people who will be disappointed, because again, that wasn't Fin Fang Foom, but there's hope.
But there's hope. So my money's on space dragons.
We will get space dragons.
I want space dragons.
It's like, unfortunately, we've hit the max of our power creep. So the next step up is space dragons.
The next step, right?
Space dragons.
That's all we can do. There's nothing left.
All right. So other than that, I do remember the Iron Man cartoon used Fin Fang Foom pretty interestingly. It was not a very good cartoon. Again, Avi Arad insisted on cramming it with every single conceivable character to sell action figures, but and his way of making the Mandarin more culturally acceptable was that he was green instead of Asian. Don't ask me why.
Yeah, I'm like, someone that just needed one more filter to go through.
I don't know why that was their fix, but it's like
I said, there's always, you always need that one extra person in the writing room to be like, this probably isn't a good idea.
One thing I want to say that's kind of offshoot, but I have to say it because it's so cool. The Kickstarter passed, and they are making a Galactus action figure that's going to be over 3 foot tall.
Oh, they made it.
And it actually can hold Silver Surfer.
This guy's $450. No, it's already gone into a stretch goal where you can now get the Doctor Doom variant, where it has a Doctor Doom head, because apparently at some point in the comic book, Doctor Doom stole the powers of Galactus.
I mean, from the stories I've heard, I'm not surprised.
I don't remember that. At first I thought maybe that happened in Secret Wars, but I went back and looked at them. I don't know where it happened. But anyway,
the thing is, it's big enough to hold Silver Surfer in his hand.
Silver Surfer, yeah, it's really amazing. It's $450 this thing. It's huge. But the cool thing about it is
freaking Galactus.
The really cool thing about it is that the other stretch goals, they've been making other heralds to go with it. So
Firelord.
They haven't gotten to Firelord yet, but they have made Frankie Ray. So Frankie Ray Nova is there. And they made some other guy I'm not familiar with. And I think the next one they're working on is Terrax.
Okay.
But then, Firelord's one of the ones I like. So, but the other heralds are being made as stretch goals and everything. So.
All right. I think we've stalled for time.
Sorry, that was so cool I had to share.
Cool. Fun stuff. Marvel fans, like I said, and thank you for joining us. We're going to talk about some other interesting dragons this week. In the meantime, go to bradsredweb.com, like, subscribe, and follow. Check us out on our parent page, Kaiju Lab Media, on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.
And every Wednesday I actually go live and talk about the new comics of the week.
So you want to know what's coming up for the next week?
And that's on Kaiju Labs Media's Facebook page.
Yes. And it also replays on the Red Web Facebook page as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys. We'll see you later.
All right, bye-bye.